Hello, chemistry fans, and welcome back to Chemistry Problem Solving Set for Chemistry. Again, one more time. Chapter 6, Problem 6. Hello, chemistry fans, and welcome back to Chemistry 1032 Problem Solving Session here at the Academic Success Center on Broward College North Campus. I am your host, Dr. Russell Betts, and I will be leading you through this problem today. So let's jump right into it. All right. Name the following covalent compounds. Okay, well, the question gives us a huge hint. Covalent. So that's very, very helpful. So we know we have to use the rules for naming covalent compounds. So now, the first rule. Dis, tris, monos, tetras, pentas, all that stuff come into play. We can't just simply name the first element and the second element or atom. We have to actually tell the reader how many of that element there are. Now, there are some similarities between the rules for naming covalent and the rules for naming ionic. First of all, in naming ionic, the cation always just kept the same name that was written on the periodic table. In covalent, the first element, the first atom that's written in the formula, keeps the same name that's written on the periodic table. So, for example, SO2, this is going to the name of this compound will start out sulfur, because sulfur is the first element or atom. Now the oxygen is going to change. It's going to be the same as if it were ionic. The second atom will change its name to the ide. So this is an O. So same thing with ionic. An oxygen was an oxide. It's the same thing here. This is going to be an oxide. So it's a sulfur oxide. But we have to tell the reader how many oxides we have. Because you can have more than one. You can have sulfur with one oxide or sulfur with two, sulfur with three. So this is sulfur. Now if you forget the spelling or forget the names, look at your periodic table. Now there's two of them, right? There's two oxygens, so it's dioxide. Dioxide. Sulfur, the first atom, the name stayed the same as the periodic table. Just look at the periodic table and write it down. Dioxide, this is oxygen, so it's oxide. It's the second element or atom in the formula. It becomes dioxide. Okay? Now, the next one is very similar. It's nitrogen and oxygen. So the first atom is nitrogen, so it's going to be called nitrogen. The second atom is oxygen, so it's going to be called oxide. But now there's two nitrogens. We have to tell the reader that. We have to tell the reader, hey, we got two nitrogens here. We've got two of them. So it's going to be dinitrogen. 3 oxides. So it's trioxide. Dinitrogen trioxide, because we had to tell the reader how many of each atom we had. Now, notice in sulfur, we didn't say monosulfur. The mono was assumed. It was assumed to be one. All right, here's a common one. You've all heard of this one. This is carbon dioxide. Carbon is the first element in the formula, so we're just going to call that carbon. And there are two oxides, so it's going to be dioxide. Carbon dioxide. Sulfur and fluorine. So sulfur is the first element in the name, or first atom. So we will leave the name sulfur. This is going to be fluoride. But now there's 6 of them. That's hexafluoride. Sulfur hexafluoride. All right, the last one, phosphorus and oxygen. Phosphorus is the first one on the first atom listed in the formula, so we're going to call that phosphorus. But now we're going to say it's and I always got to get the formula spelling out for this because I don't want to make a mistake on a video here. Phosphorus. Phosphorus. I know how to spell it. It's one of those words that I know how to spell, but I always double check on videos. And this is going to be pentoxide. Okay? Diphosphorus pentoxide. Now, Let's take a look at the pentoxide real quick. It is not pentaoxide. Whenever you have an A and an O come together, just drop off the A. So instead of saying pentaoxide, we say pentoxide. I think everyone will agree that saying pentoxide rolls off the tongue a little easier than pentaoxide. Okay? This is more of a fluid word. This is a little more choppy, so we don't say it. All right? All right. So with that, I hope that you were able to solve these problems. They're a little bit easier for most students than, say, naming ionics. But if you had any trouble, don't hesitate to contact one of the tutors here at the Academic Success Center, or go find your professor during office hours. Don't let these kind of questions slip by, because they're easy points on exams. All right, guys, now with that, I'd like to wish you good luck and good chemistry.